About a month ago, when Bitcoin was just at $74,000, I made a video for you. I did. I listed the positive things for you. I told you, don't fall. Interfere, people. In the background, the foundation is being nicely built. And I received comments like this one. A massive interest rate cut will not happen. It's over. Very nice that I took a screenshot of this comment because in the end, such a comment. Once again, nicely signaled the bottom. Since then, we have risen massively by almost 30% actually, and this image should always be kept in mind. Every time the retail investors who don't have much knowledge fall completely into panic. When the mood is completely down and everyone is only thinking about selling, that's usually when the trend reversal comes. Just like currently. In today's video, we discuss whether this is really the next big upward trend and how you can make money with altcoins here. Because I believe this beautiful upward trend that we have seen now could be the next big breakout, the breakout that also, once again, new all-time high in Bitcoin signals. Look at the 1 year. EMA was briefly broken here, but found resistance here. And since then, it has, of course, been rising nicely again. In the end, we use the line here as resistance, just as we have done several times in the past. And that's why I believe that this was our bottom for now. In the past, we have often seen it like this. When we were crossed here, we had a really nice upward trend again. Similarly, if it happened here, a really nice upward trend. Here it currently looks similar. This bull is simply building up here wave by wave. And accordingly, I would say, from a technical chart perspective, it looks good so far. We have held important zones here, which I find very good and also quite interesting. If we just take a look at the mining costs, we can see that back then, during the bull market, there was an extremely large gap between the Bitcoin price and the actual mining costs because there was extreme speculation here. And if we look at it currently, we simply see these two lines have crossed. We do have a high Bitcoin price, but we also have really high mining costs that keep rising because people are continuously expanding in the mining sector. This is a very positive sign because it shows that the major players are not expecting a bear market anytime soon. And that's also what I tend to believe. I believe we are not going to enter a bear market now. I think there's still a lot coming our way, both technically on the charts, but also, for example, due to the M2 money supply. We are already starting to feel this slowly in the markets. The M2 money supply has increased massively. Accordingly, cryptocurrencies are slowly rising again. This monetary policy is really playing into our hands. And this monetary policy does not indicate a bear market here. We have now also reached a Zweig breadth thrust signal in the S&P 500. This signal has been since the second. World War II has been hit 16 times. And each time, 6 to 12 months later, the S&P 500 was significantly higher. And that is a signal. That has been correct every time with 100% probability so far. This is extremely bullish, also suggesting that these traditional markets could really heat up again in the coming months. They can run hot. It's just an extremely significant indicator. Because the crazy thing is, if we just look at the people who are really selling Bitcoin here, it's always the retail investors. These are the small investors, not the big whales, not the smart money. These are the small investors. While they are selling here, we see on the other side that this week we had the strongest ETF inflows since Trump became president. That is incredibly positive. How amazing is that? Over $2.7 billion flowed into the Bitcoin ETF just this week. The institutional investors still have huge interest, and they know exactly what's coming our way again. And on the other side, we also see that the Bitcoin exchange balance is continuously decreasing, but really rapidly. We have fewer and fewer Bitcoins available on the exchanges, while we see that more and more Bitcoins are being heavily bought up. This way, we could experience a significant supply shock in the future. Really positive, the numbers we are seeing here again. What is also crazy nowadays is that our stablecoins in this market make up 1% of the global M2 supply. We have really seen stablecoin positions build up crazily in recent months. We are also seeing more and more regulations in the USA regarding stablecoins. And in the future, you should also be able to pay with your own coins and so on. But this is mainly positive because we have a lot of capital on the sidelines as a result, which could flow back into the market in the future. This capital could especially flow into the markets quite quickly as soon as the sentiment slowly changes again. These are all things where you ask yourself, hey, how can you still be bearish now? B, what could now plunge the crypto market into a deep bear market again? Because we are also slowly seeing that the macro-political things are gradually improving and slowly forming a nice foundation. Accordingly, I am of the opinion that the next big upward trend has started. I am still curious about how it might look over the summer months, but what we are seeing now is really impressive. Now the question is, how can one make money with altcoins in this phase? And let's just take a look at this chart. This is the chart that mainly refers to altcoins, all cryptocurrencies except Bitcoin and Ethereum. And here too, we found good resistance at the 1-year EMA and have now sustainably broken through. And in the past, this was often the point where we then experienced the next big upward trend. This is already positive to see, meaning technically we can definitely expect quite a bit more from the altcoins. It gets really interesting. But first I can show you here again, when we break through the all-time high of the previous cycle, so here during the bull run of 2017. When we broke through the all-time high here, we had another huge upward trend and the massive altcoin season. This time we have already tested the all-time high here twice. If we break through it significantly, it could initiate another altcoin season. But in between, we will also see more altcoins in this sense, because in this cycle, it's a bit different. We already had small altcoin seasons, which were relatively smaller in comparison. Every time we reached the overheated area with Bitcoin, in the RSI on the daily chart, we had a small altcoin season. Here we had the first small altcoin season back then, and then we had the second one here in relation to Solana. But this always happens when we reach the overheated area with Bitcoin, and we had it again here. That means this is something to watch out for, and after that one could then invest in altcoins. When we see Bitcoin entering the overheated area, we always observe a slight rotation into altcoins. And as a result, we can make good money with altcoins. It becomes really interesting when we enter the overheated area with the P-cycle top indicator, because that would trigger the major altcoin season. At least that's how it was in the past. Only after we broke through the purple line did Bitcoin continue to rise significantly. But this also led to an extremely strong altcoin season. This purple line currently stands at $150,000. This means Bitcoin would really need to rise significantly here, and the money would then be reallocated into altcoins and so on. That would be really crazy, but you can use it as a guide when it comes to altcoins. We will have small altcoin seasons, but the big altcoin season is welcome. When we really enter the overheated area on the weekly chart for Bitcoin, the money will slowly start to be reallocated significantly. And I am simply optimistic even for the coming months. I mean, the data is clear. Macroeconomically, everything looked pretty tight now. It all looked pretty bad in the USA because of this tariff policy. But that is also settling down. Monetarily, we know that the USA is slowly starting to print money. The rest of the world is already printing money, the Eurozone, China, Japan. And that's why we are simply getting more and more liquidity. These are simply incredibly positive things. I hope I was able to make a little update video for you in this regard. Feel free to write in the comments about what topics you would like to see videos on currently. And then I would say see you and take care